Today we're going to be doing our second energetic check-in for the month of December 2025. These videos are timeless though. They're just little energetic attunements to support with whatever present cycle or season one is moving through. So, if you're here for the first time, my name is Lisette. I'm an intuitive guide, astrologer, and energy healing practitioner. So we're going to start off with a energy center oracle card to see what energy center we're rooting and grounding into for the second half of the month. And then we'll move into another deck. I have a tarot deck and a few oracle ones, so we'll just see where we feel pulled to go towards. So the first card that we're working with today is visualization, and this is the third eye energy center, and I think this is very fitting for what we pulled in the previous video. Just thinking of how we were talking about really grounding and being present. So now that we're moving into the second half of the month, it feels like if we've been allowing ourselves to really be present, to get more rooted, to get more grounded, now how can we start visualizing some of our dreams, our desires? And I'm almost getting from this card like witnessing the light from those things. So if we kind of think of when a painting is done and how the minerals from the pigments are placed on the paper, and then of course how all the happenings for us to perceive that color, that light that's being reflected, and even just thinking on a TV screen, if you think of pixels and all of those different tiny pieces coming together to create this bigger picture. This is the energy of which we're being invited to allow ourselves to really tap into, to utilize all of those areas where we've been fine-tuning and connecting with the subtleness or the subtleties of our bodies, and to now allow ourselves to see through all of our senses, to dream into and to visualize with all of our being what is, how do I want to say, what is being invited to be bridged more into physical form. So thinking from spirit to matter. So next, I feel called to pick some crystal oracle cards. So let's see here. And I will say, so these little stars, or maybe stars or suns, these sparks of light in this card, there's 4 of them. And that's really making me think that whatever you might be envisioning for the second half of December, that they're thinking of the number 4, there's stability, there's groundedness, there is a strong foundation with these 4 pillars. And we will be having, I'm not sure when I'm posting this video, but we will be having our winter solstice in the northern hemisphere, the southern hemisphere, summer solstice. So really just honoring, as the light is shifting and it's changing, what it is that we're dreaming and visioning into. And I'm also being pulled towards these little swirls in the image as well. So this is showing to me that I'm kind of getting pulled towards something in the past. So maybe what we're visualizing is maybe something that we've been, and it doesn't have to be from the past that we've been dreaming of it, but it's something that we've been dreaming of for potentially a really long time that we're ready to honor a bit more. So maybe you're like actually allowing yourself to like fully awaken into the possibility of whatever this dream is, that it can be like it can be possible. I hope those words made sense. Okay, so first crystal that came out is selenite, absolutely one of my favorites. And it says spiritual awakening. And selenite is really good for cleansing and purification. And when we think of spiritually awakening, which I feel like happens in many ways, many times, because we're endlessly growing and expanding. We're awakening to new aspects of our own consciousness and how we're working with the energy, with the light that we're receiving. So, one thing that is really standing out to me is how selenite can be used to cleanse all of our energy centers. So, maybe this is kind of emphasizing it might be supportive for the second half of December as we're moving through the seasonal change to do some visualizations that are supporting with allowing more spiritual awakening, but not in a way where you're trying to transcend or escape within the physical body, but to allow for a spiritual awakening to be more embodied, as that will be a really big thing that will move into more next year of all of these different spiritual awakenings that we've had, how have we actually integrated them and embodied them in truth in our own unique way. And then next we have pink tourmaline coming out. So pink tourmaline is great for your heart energy center, even your higher heart energy center. And I do believe we talked about the essence of forgiveness in the last video. So if you didn't watch that one, maybe it might be supportive to get some nuggets from there. But really just honoring, thinking of selenite being cleansing and purifying. What are the aspects that are ready to be forgiven? Specifically thinking towards oneself so that forgiveness can be extended towards others, and it can invite in a more clearer perception towards whatever these visualizations are that you're working with during this time. And I feel like I'm going to pull a few tarot cards for forgiveness to just see what this might be around. Okay, so these are kind of a lot of cards, but I will keep them. So, one of the things that is first standing out to me, so the Hermit card came out first, and if there have been times where you have like kept yourself in solitude or in this space of feeling as if you're alone, um, extending an invitation to forgive that aspect. And it's really interesting because this is making me think of in esoteric astrology. I'm being pulled to Cancer, which is very interesting. But we do have Jupiter retrograde in Cancer. So it's just making me think about how sometimes the archetype of Cancer can be like, it can create its own essence of solitude and forget to come back to the group or the collective. And if there has been that experience in ways that you have exiled your own self, it's very interesting how this is coming out. But yeah, if there's been any times where you have put your own self in isolation or exile, or as if you don't fit, or you, whatever the story might be, this is a great time, the second half of December, to extend forgiveness towards maybe the ways that you've placed yourself into a bubble, and how those moments of solitude are so beautiful, but remembering to come back down the mountain or like to come out of the cave of solitude, if you will, just thinking of the Hermit energy. And then we do have the Five of Swords here, so definitely honoring what's going on within your mental body And sometimes, Five of Swords, there can be some essence of conflict. And with this deck specifically, I always see it as conflict with the self, within our own mind of what it is that um, we're maybe wanting, and sometimes external noise just overstimulating us to where we're kind of being taken away, if we think towards the last reading, taken away from our truth. So really maybe even working with visualization towards what are some things that you can visualize or connect with when your mental body is getting overstimulated, so you can invite yourself to come back into your center. Also just thinking into your power, maybe even like really working with the crystal of selenite, if that's supportive, or also smoky quartz is coming to mind at the moment, because this is placing you back into like the strength card. It's placing you back into your inner strength, your power, your will to overcome that potential story that's no longer supportive, that's maybe being perpetuated by outside sources that are not necessarily yourself. And then with the Nine of Cups, just because this is all tied into the forgiveness card, so just remembering that all these things I'm speaking of, connecting it to um, bringing awareness towards what is ready to be forgiven or shifted or met with more grace and compassion. We also have the Nine of Cups here. So, really, this is really making me think of maybe forgiving the ways that you haven't fully acknowledged the abundance and the happiness and the joy that has been available and accessible to you. It almost seems like maybe vision has been a bit blurred in the way of like maybe there's been this really narrowed focus, that the narrow focus has gave you tunnel vision, and now through this visualization, and especially thinking this when we think of our third eye energy center, it is the center where we can see past, present, and future. So it's allowing for that tunnel vision to be opened up again. So just maybe playing with that essence and seeing where you kind of land on that, so that you can honor moments of solitude, but remember that like you are worthy and deserving to be like part of the village. If we just use the mountain analogy, if you're going up the mountain, you're going away from the town or the village, and maybe now it's time to come back to the town and to the village, and to also share within the abundance of others, within the abundance of connection. And if you do feel like connection is lacking, then really asking, or not asking, but maybe this energy is inviting in a deeper connection with yourself, to know that like when you're up on that mountain in that solitude space, like you're not alone. There's many other energies, not to be like in a creepy way, but like you're not, and you are with yourself. And there's a very beautiful gift of being able to be with yourself truly, and remembering that, with allowing yourself to enjoy that space, to take that which you've cultivated with yourself and to allow it to be woven into connection with others. Okay. I feel called to this deck. Okay, yeah, we just need one more card. This is the card. So, with this card coming out in this specific oracle deck, it does talk about a paradigm shift. So this really, and there's all these eyes here as well. Yeah, so this is really making me think of, with the visualization, utilizing visualization to support with providing more freedom. It kind of takes me back to, so if you haven't listened, I do a podcast. It's Sacred Words Woven in Time. And it's just supportive little nuggets for the new and full moons. And I share some like practical examples of things that I've experienced in my life that are essentially giving way towards some of the planetary energies or just my own contemplations for some of these things. But basically, what I'm trying to get at is it might be supportive. I share a little story in there about like taking photos and working with a lens and camera towards like what it is that we're focusing on and how sometimes you can see something and then depending on all these camera components, like maybe you don't see, right? It's blurred or what have you, like it's not in your vision. So, this to me is showing that in the essence of freedom or the things that we feel entrapped by, sometimes they can be illusions. And not to say that it's always an illusion, because there are times in our life where we truly are stuck in a lesson, right? But it's not that we're stuck, it's that we're being called to focus more on this specific season of our life so we can allow ourselves to find deeper embodiment towards the energies that we were gifted with in this physical incarnation. And though sometimes that can feel really dense and really heavy and hard, it's in those moments where we actually allow ourselves to move through the awareness of like, you know what, yes, this is a challenge, but through this and through all these different things within life, like, you know, we like the whole essence, and this too shall pass. So it's when we allow ourselves to move through it, but to not get so entrapped by the story of that moment, because each moment is changing and there are things that are different. So this is asking for like opening your eyes to see what has actually changed, what is not the same. And if there is this essence of feeling alone or by yourself, you're being asked to invite yourself to remember like where is connection at for you, and where is this joy and happiness and even play, and how is it maybe even calling you more inward to activate that within yourself, so you get to experience more of this freedom, and this more flexible adaptability within your mental body towards working with visualizations for your dreams, your desires, or what have you. So I do hope that they all made sense. Let me know down below if there was anything that spoke to you or how you're moving through this present season in your own life. And as always, if you're ever seeking some one-on-one guidance or just support, I do offer one-on-one astrology readings and embodied healing sessions. So all that information is down below, and I do host events. Sometimes they're in person in San Diego and sometimes they're online. So feel free to check that out. And yeah, I'm wishing you a nourishing rest of the month in December, and take care until next time. Bye.